On the ice rink, young Tonya was desperate to use the restroom, but her mother forbade it. With each hour of ice skating lessons costing $100, even a brief bathroom break seemed too precious to waste. Tonya had no choice but to bear it. She practiced diligently, striving for perfection in every move, as though racing against time itself. Her speed increased until she glanced cautiously at her mother, who merely shook her head in disapproval. Tonya was an exceptionally talented figure skater, having been involved in the sport since she was 4, and capable of outperforming competitors much taller than herself. However, her mother's harshness filled her childhood with constant scoldings and punishments, casting a lingering shadow over her life. Her only moments of joy were with her father, but even this warmth was fleeting. Unable to endure her mother's oppression, her father chose to leave. But, working 12-hour shifts, he couldn't take care of her. As she watched him drive away, Tonya yelled. Growing up in this harsh environment, Tonya inherited some of her mother's negative traits, becoming rude and irritable. Her life was nearly wholly consumed by skating, with long hours of training as her only pursuit. One day, a boy named Jeff caught Tonya's attention. But even their first date couldn't escape the control of Tonya's mother. She followed them, ruining the mood with her sharp, cutting remarks. Despite this, Jeff offered Tonya a different kind of attention and admiration than what she received from her mother. He praised her beauty and her skating skills, likening her to a superhero with supernatural abilities. Unfortunately, like Tonya's mother, Jeff too had a violent streak. He would offer sincere apologies after each outburst, but never truly changed. Tonya's childhood experiences led her to a twisted understanding of such violence. Even when her mother noticed a bruise on her face, she would mockingly say, "You're just asking for it." Before long, Tonya faced her first official competition. Despite being a newcomer, she showed no signs of stage fright. While other skaters opted for elegant classical music, Tonya chose a vibrant and energetic style, showcasing her powerful and intense performance. However, despite her superiority in difficulty, speed, and strength, the traditionally minded judges gave her low scores, an injustice that deeply frustrated her. Confronted with this biased judgment, Tonya stormed out of the venue. Upon returning home, she found no comfort from her mother, only harsher scoldings for not trying hard enough and for being rude. These events spurred her decision to leave home. Tonya didn't realize that in the world of figure skating, judges often favored skaters who embodied a specific image, either the cute, delicate young girl or the alluring, charming lady. Tonya didn't fit these molds. Her rugged appearance and straightforward demeanor placed her far from the traditional feminine image expected in figure skating. Her poor background and homemade costumes stood in stark contrast to the other skaters' expensive gear, giving judges another excuse to score her low. Facing continuous unfair treatment, Tonya once angrily questioned the judges why her outstanding performances were not appropriately recognized. The judges coldly replied that they also considered the skater's image and presentation. The coach suggested that she alter her style to cater to the preferences of the judges, but Tonya refused to make such a compromise, promptly firing her coach. During this period, she made a decision that would later become a deep regret, accepting Jeff's marriage proposal. In the early days of their marriage, she was quite happy, as she could, like other skaters, fully devote herself to skating without the distraction of part-time jobs. However, on the day of a national competition, she was confronted and insulted by a man as she entered the venue. Surprisingly, this man had been orchestrated by her mother, who believed this would unleash Tonya's potential. In the competition, Tonya wore a glamorous outfit and chose classical music, preferred by the judges. She displayed extraordinary strength, speed, and technical skill. After completing her first 3 moves, the audience was particularly eager to see if she would become the first American woman to land a triple axel in competition. Tonya achieved it, not only making history but also demonstrating her strength to those who had once underestimated her. This marked the first time she received nearly perfect scores and experienced such widespread recognition and admiration. However, with success came a desire for greater respect. Meanwhile, Jeff, suspecting that Tonya no longer loved him, intensified his abusive behavior. Unable to endure this life, Tonya initially chose to leave, but she was eventually swayed by Jeff's persuasive words and decided to reconcile. This reconciliation seemed to bring her misfortune, as her performance began to decline. As the Winter Olympics approached, despite her confidence, she committed serious errors in the competition, falling before a global audience. She could only watch her teammates receiving awards on TV from the locker room, overwhelmed by a deep sense of loss. Her failure in the competition deepened her agony, and her relationship with Jeff grew increasingly strained, marked by frequent incidents of domestic violence that even drew police intervention. Eventually, Tonya chose to divorce. However, her failure at the Winter Olympics led to the loss of sponsor support, forcing her to turn to low-income jobs. Echoing her mother's path, she worked as a waitress in a breakfast diner, struggling to make ends meet. This lifestyle made it impossible for her to devote herself to skating training as she had before. At this low point in her life, Tonya's first coach re-emerged, offering a glimmer of hope. The next Winter Olympics were to be held in just 2 years, not the usual 4. The coach encouraged her to seize this opportunity to return to the competitive arena. Despite feeling disillusioned about her prospects, the coach's words reignited her fighting spirit. Deciding to end her brief exile, she began training again, incorporating running and weight training to regain her form. However, even with her impressive performance, the judges' bias remained. Once more confronted with their unfair scoring, she learned that scores were based not only on technique but also on a skater's personal image and family background. This deepened her frustration, and to ensure her participation in the Winter Olympics, Tonya had to make a tough decision: to remarry Jeff. This decision plunged her personal life into further chaos. Prior to the competition, she received a threatening letter, warning she would be shot if she chose to compete. Inspired by this, Jeff paid $2,000 to a friend to issue a similar threat to Tonya's main rival, Nancy. But Jeff's arrogant friend hired someone to attack Nancy, resulting in an injury to her leg. Seeing Nancy's agonized screams on TV, Jeff grasped the seriousness of the situation and urgently contacted his friend, only to learn that the threat to Tonya had also been orchestrated by him, in a bid to become Tonya's bodyguard. Unaware of these events, Tonya easily qualified for the Winter Olympics due to Nancy's absence. However, Jeff's friend boasted about orchestrating the attack, leading to his quick arrest. During the investigation, he implicated Jeff. Due to lack of evidence, the police couldn't arrest Jeff. Tonya confronted Jeff, and a fierce argument convinced her that he had planned the attack. She reported Jeff to the police. In retaliation during his arrest, Jeff claimed Tonya was also involved in the attack. Overnight, she went from a star to a pariah. Despite this, Tonya participated in the Winter Olympics under immense pressure, hoping to prove her innocence through her performance. However, she faced an issue with her skate lace just before competing, adding to her stress. She requested a reskate from the judges, but still ended up with the lowest scores. Despite the opportunity for a fresh start, she became one of the poorest performers at the Winter Olympics. Following the investigation into the attack, Tonya was permanently banned from figure skating competitions and events. She was devastated, as skating was the only thing she excelled at. She chose boxing, not just for survival, but also knowing people wanted to see her perform, even if it was to see her falter. For Tonya, boxing became another way to fight against violence and adversity. She displayed the same resilience and indomitable spirit in the boxing ring as she had on the ice, though now facing more direct and brutal challenges. Tonya's story reflects how one can find their own path through adversity. She no longer sought public approval or verification of the truth, realizing that everyone's truth could be different. Her life and career journey, filled with challenges and injustices, also showcased her unyielding spirit and courage in the face of adversity. This film is adapted from real interviews with Tonya Harding and Jeff Gillooly. For those interested, you can check out the original version, Tonya. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.